All right, so I'm gonna get right into it. So dealing with, we're dealing with trading in line with structure. And this is exactly how basically for the most part, what I base my entries around. When I give out signals, when I trade, this is what it's all about. Because when you first come to a chart, you want to really look at the overall picture, you know. So let's say we're looking at the daily. Right here, we're looking at the daily, or even if you're looking at the weekly. You can see here on the weekly that price has been in a downtrend for a minute, for a while, really from this top, which was February, May 2021. So price has been, creating them lower lows and lower highs. We've been moving in the downtrend, right? So when I come to the daily chart, you can see the same thing. So we're going to just back test and we're going to see how will you trade in line with structure and how do you view it? How do you spot these entries? So when I'm looking at price right here, let's say we're focusing on entries around this level of supply. You see this level of supply up here where price has some nice moves to the downside. Now I'm looking at overall price at this level and we can spot this. We can see, look at this level. We can see that even if we start from past price, remember you always look left to go right. When price was pretty much moving in this range right here, it was ranging until it finally broke structure. All right, so let's look at it here. So when price breaks a level of structure, that's an indication that you're looking to continue to go in that direction. All right, so there price broke structure. We go down to the 4-hour chart. All right, right here. So this was the point where price broke structure right here. Price broke structure, making a lower low. All right, so now once you see that, especially when you get a clear break on like the daily chart, that's even a stronger indication that price is looking to continue in that direction. So in this scenario, price basically just came right up, printed like pretty much like a bearish flag, and it just retested. This is the area that price pretty much fell from here. Right? It retested that order structure and just broke down. So you will be looking for your entries here. You look for your entries here, selling the breakdown of this flag, right? And you just ride that down. So you could have expected price to make a lower low. You could see price drop much more. It had a big drop from this level. But this is a major level because to the left, that was a level of demand or support that price broke. All right. Now, if you missed the initial move, you're going to see how we can just continue to just ride this, continue to trade in line with structure. And just, if once you know the clear direction, like in this case, we know it's a downward trend, price broke structure. Now we're looking to catch the continued wave to the downside. Price continued down, forming the lower low, right? We broke this low. So after that, usually when price forms a lower low, price is going to pull back. It's going to pull back. In this case, it pulled back and pretty much retested around the same area, right? You can see it right there. So this was another opportunity. And this is how, when you look at structure, is price formed another lower low. It was just a retest. So you enter on this breakdown, on this retest. You expect price to stay below the prior high, the prior lower high. Because if price was to just break, if price was to come up here and just break through this level, right? Firm break, then that's a sign that, structure is now broken. So now your bias shifts, likely bullish. Now, when you come around these levels, sometimes, you're going to see price clear out liquidity. So sometimes you might see, in this case, that didn't happen, but sometimes you might see price, we might see an example of that. You'll see price like do a liquidity press and then eventually have a sharp close right back below and then just continue down. So when that happens, that's a false break. But in this scenario, it was just another retest or pullback and continuing down further. All right. So that was another opportunity. Now, once price made another leg down, we got another lower low right here. So what happens after a lower low? You usually get some type of pullback. Some pullbacks are bigger than others. So in this scenario, Price didn't pull back that much right here. Pull back here. Now, if you look at where it pulled back to, when you just look in that structure, this will be considered a lower high right here, because what price did was it broke down, slight pullback, and it continued down, forming this lower high. So what it did was it pulled back, but when it pulled back, it was just retesting around where this broke down from, all right? And it continued to break down. So you could have been looking for entry on this retest as well, or on like the break of this low. But if you continue to look further, you're going to see how price still gave you more opportunities. So just keep this same zone in mind where price fell from. Then you could clearly see what price is doing. After that, price formed another lower low here, pulled back for a retest.
Want to help me?
The retest for another continuation and gave you another extension down, forming another lower low. Hold on, let me. All right, so we got another lower low right there. So you could have looked at this as well. This was just a bearish flag. All right, this was just a bearish flag, a corrective flag. So either you could have entered right on this retest once you see prices holding, because if you want to pay attention to detail, because when price came up here and it rejected on this retest here, this was the high of August 4th, broke down, pulled back. The next day, retested prior day's high, August 5th, and held below that. Normally, that's a sign that that's the high price is going to hold. All right, you see from there, price broke down, gave you another opportunity even on this pullback. So you had multiple opportunities. Either if you entered on a hold of that top right there, or even if you entered on this pullback right here. Either or, those were both entries to catch this next wave. All right, right there, price dropped over 250 pips. All right, after that, price did have a bigger correction, but I'm still keeping in mind overall structure. So all price did was price came right back, retested the same area, the same level of structure, formed pretty much like a slight double top, and just sold off. All right. So when you're trading structure and when you're trading, especially from like levels of demand, levels of supply, keep all of this in mind and just understand that once a level of structure is broken, that's a sign that you're continuing in that direction. So in this scenario, it just formed a corrective wave, broke down, gave you a slight pullback right here. If you didn't enter on a breakdown of this, you could have still been looking to enter on this pullback. Stop loss above that right there, and you could have caught the next wave. That dropped over 200 pips. From there, you're either taking some profit. You know, that's a 1 to 3. You probably would have been good to take some profit right there. Take profit. You know, you won that trade. All right. So moving forward, you know, eventually price had, you know, a bigger wave up. Bigger wave up. But let's look at let's look at this part on the daily. Because we're still looking at the higher time frame, and we're understanding that we still have action for more downside, because we're still trading below this level. All right. So after we could have capitalized on this drop, right, price eventually made a higher pull up, which was basically right here. But if you look into the left, price still was retesting around this same level. Right, the same level of supply where price in the past pulled down, retested, and continued. So we play this same type of scenario the same way. So if I look at this on a daily, all right, like when I look at my charts and I'm like, okay, this is what we're looking for. So right here in this example, we came to this level of supply, and I'm looking at this on a daily, and I'm seeing that price just printed a bearish engulfing right here. Right here, price printed a bearish engulfing breakdown. For me, that's a sign that we're going lower. I would have at least expected price to come back down to this level of support, if not lower. You see, it actually went lower than that. But I'm still overall looking at, you know, how I define my targets. You know, we're going to focus on demand as well. You'll be able to identify where price is likely going to take profit from. So right there, form bearish engulfing. So now we can still go down to the smaller time frame, and we can see how we could either cause the initial move, or we could have just caught the structure play, just, you know, waiting for the pullback. here. All right. Could also had your counter trend line here. All right. So price came to this point of supply, right? Looking to the left, we know we still in supply. Price gave us a breakdown of structure right here. Breaking our trend line, breaking structure, breaking this level of support to the left. So if you don't enter on the breakout, if you're not a breakout trader, just be patient. Let price break structure and catch the pullback or the retest. This would have been your opportunity here. This is textbook right here. Price gave us the initial breakout here, breaking our trend line, also breaking structure support. So now on the pullback or retest is our entry. This is our entry right here. This is our entry. All right. Stop loss really could be this tight below the breakout, or if you want to be safe, just a little bit above before price broke out of that trend line. All right, to give it a more room. But overall, we can see it was a nice setup, right? This drop big because this is at a top of supply. So if we really look at this, when you're trading supply and demand, that's where you're gonna catch these swing setups. We keep going. I dropped over 400 pips, almost about 450 pips. That's so just from this entry, that's a 1 to 7, almost 1 to 8 risk to reward. So you're going to find the best risk to reward setups from supply and demand. All right. But again, how do we continue to catch the play? If you didn't catch this move, you see it retested, formed a lower low right here. All right. So after a lower low, what tends to happen? Price pulls back. And when price pull back, a lot of times you're going to see price come back and just retest previous structure low. Sometimes I throw my line chart on there because you could clearly see where price is at. All right. It doesn't factor in the wicks, but when you throw it on there, you can see price was just coming back for a retest. So on this pullback, all right, you'll continue to catch this play on this retest. Catch the next wave down, right? But you could keep going because this is a major level. So you understand you still got a lot of room to go. So now price technically, you could zoom in so you can see it close. Price technically broke structure low right here. This candlestick closed beneath this low. That was the break of structure. After that, price actually slightly pulled up with this candle. Slightly pulled up right here. You could have entered on that pullback. You could have entered on this pullback, had stop loss above the high of that retest, and then just catch the next wave, the next extension down, over 100 pips, right? And then you keep going because it makes a lower low, and price just came right back and just retested previous structure. It retested previous structure low and the same level that this price basically broke down from. That's another entry at this level. And you can see right here, price actually printed a bearish engulfing right here on the retest. You enter there, stop loss above the high, and you ride this down, all right? And it kept going. So you really just keep this simple and you just really just continue. Once you know the true direction, especially when it's a major level of supply and demand, you just continue to ride this thing out. All right. Drop a 1 in the chat if this is making sense, or if y'all have any questions, let me know so I can make sure this is easy to understand. All right. You can even see here, price broke, made a lower low, came back for the retest, continued, pulled it back again, another entry right here, continued, right? And it just continued down. It's really this simple. You know what I mean? Like, this is price action. I'm not even showing no indicators, none of that. Just clearly just understanding how price move. Just clearly understanding how price move. Get rid of some of this real quick. And then it's really the same thing once you get to, I'm still looking at my levels of demand, my levels of support. The level here. Price came right back up to this level of supply again, up here, and had another fall from this level, had another big fall. So we could have caught it again. You see here on the daily, it printed this bearish engulfing, right? It's a sign that the sellers are in control. It's a clear indication that price is likely going to continue to fall from there. And that's exactly what happened. All right, so you just keep it simple. All USD is really a newbie friendly pair. Not even just a newbie friendly, like it's really an easy pair to trade. Like it really respects certain levels. So in this type of scenario, this was AU right here. Price gave an impulse of rejection from this level of supply, breaking structure. We're breaking a higher low and support structure to the left. On the break of that, right here, on the break of structure, price came back. Let me make this right here. Price broke structure, came back for the retest, continued falling. Pulled back one more time. That was another opportunity. So in this type of scenario, on the break of structure, on the retest here, the rejection, you look for your entry, right? And you continue to ride this down. Eventually, it came from that level. I mean, it came all the way back down to demand and further, you know. So that was really a beautiful setup from that high. But you had multiple opportunities because price came down and formed another lower low, pulled back again, forming a lower high to continue. This is your bearish flag right here, your corrective play. On this pullback, you anticipate, you expect the continuation to the downside. Gave you another play. All right, it's real simple. It's real simple. Once you understand how price move, you know, it's not going to be, you're not going to be guessing. You're going to be trading from a place of understanding and just trade what you see. Right here, price fell from right here. Overall, we were still in a downtrend. So price pulled up, fell from right here. That could be signified as a level of supply. So once we got right back to this level here, this was an entry. Price broke down. You could wait for your pullback. Entry for the downside. Look for it to come back down to the same low. That's what it did, but it went even further to the downside. All right, and AU really just kept going. So even right here, when price had a big sharp sell-off right here, and if you notice, it came right back and retested structure, roughly around 0.7. That's a key level on AU. If you look to the left, that was a previous level of demand or support. It came back, retested that. Look what it did. It formed a bearish engulfing right here and continued to the downside, because that's a sign that price is likely going up. The sellers are in control and price is likely going to continue. So from there, if you didn't catch this initial, you know, right here, formed a bearish engulfing on the 4-hour two and just continue down, on this pullback was your opportunity. This was a bearish flag. Basically, it came back and retested that. So even on this pullback was another opportunity. Stop loss above there, and you could have just rolled this down. Looking to the left, could have been expecting price to come back down, push down into this level of demand, which it did. All right. So really just play about structure. All right. Just play about structure, and then you'll be good. Let's look at another. Let's look at EU. All right. Looking at EU as well, you can see we've been in the downtrend on the daily. Clearly, clear downtrend, clear structure, lower lows, lower highs. EJ. Okay, yeah. Lower lows, lower highs there. All right. So now this is how let's look at some past price action, how we could have caught some of this. So really way from this top is when price started, you know, it was a part of the sell-off from that level of supply. Now, if we're looking close, keep your eye on price, points of structure to pay attention to. Here. This is a point where price continued to fall even bigger. When price broke this level of support or demand, came back for the retest and continued right here. Now, I'm on a daily chart right now, but you can see on this break of structure, price retested, formed a bearish engulfing. On the daily, that's a sign that price is going to hold. So after that bearish engulfing, it slightly pulled back, and didn't pull back much. But this is when you measure the range of this, because even on this pullback, if you enter, you know, on this pullback and your stop loss was like above this bearish engulfing, you know, you're risking about 80 pips. But price had an even steeper drop, dropping over 400 pips. All right. And after that, price formed another lower low, and it pulled back here and then had a sell-off. But this is when you had to get an idea. So it didn't come back perfectly and retest this low, previous low. But if you look to the left, you can spot where it rejected from, which was here. This was a past level of supply. Looking to the left. That's why you always look left to go right. Price doesn't, there's no coincidence when it comes to how price is moving. If you look, it came exactly to this level of supply that it sold off from in the past, and it rejected there. So if you look at this, you see this on the daily right here. So I'm on a daily still, but you can see here on the daily price form. The reason why I'm looking at the higher time frames right now, so you can put it in your mind that the higher time frames is gonna be the key to how you catch the bigger move. So it formed this bearish engulfing on the daily and had an even bigger sell-off. So really, I know, like my man Tim, I know he said he liked to enter on the daily. So in this type of scenario, you would have entered on a daily, but you see after that daily close, it slightly pulled back. You know, you could have entered on a slight pullback, stop loss above. You know, you're risking about 57 to 60 pips. At least take profits back at that low that it made, which is about 237, 240 pips. All right, you talking about a 1 to 5 or a 1 to 4 risk to reward. So, but by seeing that bearish engulfing on the retest, this is a retest. That's my indication. I look for either certain candlestick patterns, whether it's a double top, whether it's a bearish engulfing, whether it's a pin bar rejection. I look for certain indications on that retest to catch that continuation. So in that type of scenario on the daily, it showed a bearish engulfing. See how we look. A 4 hour. All right. So in this scenario, it didn't give much of a pullback though, because it slightly pulled back here. It dropped, had a slight pullback. So it would have been best because this drop makes up the bearish engulfing that you see on the daily. On this slight pullback is where you should have been looking for your entries. And this gave us the continued wave to the downside, dropping 300 pips from there. Because here, you know, it dropped again, slight pullback here. This was another opportunity. Dropped again, had another slight pullback. It just continued down. So the drops here or the pullbacks here were minor, but they were still slight corrections to catch the continuation to the downside. All right. Before eventually coming right back to this level again. And this formed a double top right here. This was a double top before selling off. And if you notice, remember what I say on the double tops, when price break the double top, a lot of times you'll see price come back. When it breaks the neckline, you'll see it come back for the retest. So on this pullback or retest, that also was an entry here. Right? And then if you look at what price, at least expect price to come back down to that same low. So you're talking about risking what? About If you had your stop here, I mean, you risk about 30. If you wanted a little more room and having more above the right shoulder, the double top, you know, you're risking about anywhere from 30 to 70 pips to make 280 pips or more. All right, that's 1 to 3. That's 1 to 4 risk to reward. All right, so these are the type of setups that you want to look for, but always be sure that you know the direction. All right, once you know the direction, just pay attention to structure. Like right here, price eventually broke structure right there. Look what it did. Broke structure, came back for the retest, continued. Right? Right here, broke structure, came back for the retest or the pullback. In this case, it was a retest of previous structure low, continued. It's clear. All right. Whoever, I know Jen asked for EJ, but I see she's no longer on here. So y'all have any other pair you want me to look at? Right here. Retest. Broke structure there. Broke structure, retest it, continue. And if you look on this retest as well, I'm on a daily, but on this retest, we got a bearish engulfing right here. The sign of sellers being in control, price continued to the downside. All right. So really just keep it simple. You know, once price shows its hand at these levels of structure, it's either you're going to wait for, depending on where you at, you could catch it at the top, or you could wait for a break and then just look to catch that continuation. In this scenario, price broke down. It had a slight pullback, like none major, slight pullback, retest right here, and then just continue. All right. So just keep it simple. You know, this is mainly how I trade when I'm talking about like supply and demand. Like I focus on my major levels of structure. And then once price overall understand the trend for one, whether you're on a daily, the 4 hour, I understand the higher time frame from the weekly to the daily to the 4 hour. And when I'm trading within the week, the daily and the 4 hour is a huge indication of where we're likely to go within the coming days or within the coming, you know, normally within the coming days, you know, from day to day. Right. So in this scenario, I understood this was really a retest I was waiting on. Price retested, bearish engulfing on the daily. I was expecting price to come back down, at least back down to this low, and possibly even make a lower low because I know we're still in the downtrend, and that's what it did. All right. So now I know we're still in the downtrend. So price could pull back, and overall, I'm still bearish on this. So even on this correction, you know, we could possibly set up for continuation down because if we look at this, even if we throw our trend line on this, you know, throw our trend line on this, we can see price rejected, forming this bearish engulfing on the daily. So this could set up for just a correction to give us another wave down, possibly. All right. GJ. All right. So GJ, when you're looking at GJ, pretty much the same thing. So like you're focusing on major levels, whether you're talking about supply, demand, you know, I'm looking at my major points of supply. Since at this level, you know, you had a lot of supply at this level. Levels where you have multiple hits. So price, you see price came up here on GJ and had respected this level again, and we had a nice sell-off. So really, once I start to see price action like this, you see how price had his big wick rejection through that level. Like that's a pin bar rejection through that. Pin bar rejection, then we had a nice bearish close. That's an indication that price exhaustion and price is looking to hold around this level of supply. So really, you could have started like really looking for your sales, either after this pin bar rejection and then you see a bearish close, or you see price had a slight breakdown and then it gave you a pullback right here. Really being that this is at a major level of supply, and when I see this type of price action, I like to start looking for, my breakdown. And with that being the bearish engulfing candle, I would have liked to have it above the bearish engulfing, like right here. And then you look to the left to identify where price is likely to go. So I would expect the price to at least come down to these levels of support, But then you see, if you look to the left, price actually broke that here. It broke that. Once it broke that, we had a slight retest of that right here. Let's look at this. All right, right here. Once price broke this level, this structure here, it retested it here. This was your retest, and then it gave you the continuation. All right. So in that scenario, that's your retest. And this is really could be looked at as like a head and shoulders right here too. So in this scenario, this would have been our neckline of our head and shoulders. So we broke it, we retested it, formed a bearish engulfing, and just continued down. So really on GJ, I'm still bearish on this. I'm still bearish. So in this scenario, I will be looking for price to come back into structure levels, retest, and look for the continuation. But I'm still judging it based off of past structure to the left. Up here, we have some action within here. You got some action here. You see all these wick rejections, right? When price broke down here, retested, continued, price kept respecting this level as resistance. So really, I would like to see price. I'm still bearish on this for now. I would like to see price come back. If we get a retest rejection within this level, I'm looking for another sell-off. All right. So you always want to play it off of structure, how price is going to react around structure. You see here, this was a top. This was a top that you could even look at from this level. Once price broke back below that, that's a sign that you're going even further down. Once price broke below this top, that's a sign that you're going even lower. All right. Like right here. Once price broke down, I believe I sent this out. I didn't give the call, but I sent this out. I said the price, I think somebody asked me about this. And I said, if it breaks down, then that's a sign for me that we're going even lower. Look for price to pull back to retest. That's exactly what it did. It retested and it gave you the continuation play. And then it broke even further because it broke more structure levels. So now I look for the next potential retest for another continuation. Got you. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Like, just keep it simple. It makes sense, after just having, so many years of just seeing how price move over and over. Seeing how price move. With EJ, we're back at a level of supply. But you can see same thing with EJ. Like, we have these levels where price respect as resistance. Here, rejected. Pulled up, retested it again. You catch those plays, rejected. Over here, it was supply. It was supply. It was supply. Eventually broke above, retested as support, continued. So these levels are like magnets. So now we back at this top. Got this doji on the weekly. All right. And now we're hovering around this level of supply. So similar to GJ, I want to see a breakdown. All right. I am looking for this. So if price does give a breakdown of structure, I will look for a pullback or a retest and catch a continuation. That's what I'm looking for on EJ. All right. And then if it does that, if it breaks down, pulls back, maybe retest and continue, I'm looking for it to come down towards 140. All right. So really just keep it simple. This session is about the timeout actually. It's recorded. I'm going to upload it. I actually had to update my Zoom. So this is about to time us out. I'm gonna drop the recording. And Jen, if you have any other questions about EJ, let me know. I could break EJ down more for you. If you need me to pull up another session or something like that, let me know. But really just practice on drawing in your structure levels and just clearly just trading in line with structure. You know, I could put this in the back office too, or I was planning on putting up some series up about trading in line with structure so y'all could get more of an idea real time on how to do it. All right. But I hope this helped y'all. I hope y'all got value from that.